Next time we should have a microphone where we can see you. Please be seated. Let me thank everyone for being here today, but particularly I want to thank the U.S. Vets Color Guard and our Houston Children's Chorus for being here and performing. Again, thank you. And to the Houstonians in the room, let me say that I hope you made it through the recent week unscathed. And let me thank you for the fact that Houstonians came together and worked together to bounce back from that flood. Now, while unlike what you might have seen on the national news, the whole city wasn't under 10 feet of water, the parts that were very hard hit, and there are a lot of Houstonians who are hurting today. And they benefited from great first responders, but lots and lots of volunteers, and that work is still ongoing. And I know some of you in this room were part of that effort, and I thank you. But after the week we've had, it's great to be here and to celebrate some good news. I want to thank the Astros organization for opening up historic Union Station, and the soon-to-be historic, because the Astros are going to keep winning, Minute Maid Park for us today. And I thank Wells Fargo for underwriting this breakfast this morning. So to both of those organizations, there are a number of folks I want to recognize, and some of them you will hear later, but I want to acknowledge the guests up here on the podium. HUD Secretary Julián Castro, and our neighbor from up the street. VA Secretary Robert McDonald. Labor Secretary Thomas Perez. Matthew Doherty, U.S. Interagency on Homelessness, Interagency Council on Homelessness. And we are in the home of the 18th Congressional District, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Congressman Al Green. And Congressman Gene Green. And most importantly of all, if you are currently serving in the armed forces or you are a veteran, please stand. Among those who stood was Houston City Council Member Jack Christie. Council member, happy to have you here today. And of course, you understand that Houston is one of the few cities in America that has a full-time on city-paid staff veterans coordinator to make sure that we work well with the veterans agencies. Mr. Carl Salazar, happy to have you here. And I note his predecessor, Mr. Buddy Grantham, both of you. Thank you for being here. Today is a very exciting day for the city of Houston. Today is the day that we acknowledge that it is possible to do the impossible, or seemingly impossible, and to remind the country that Houston is, in fact, a city without limits. No limits on big ideas, no limits on the systems we can build, and no limits on the lengths we will go to ensure that our most honorable and honored citizens have an opportunity to live healthy, happy lives. We're the city that invented indoor baseball, and we are the city that put a human being on the moon. If you can envision it, and you're willing to put some muscle behind it, and have just a leap of faith that it is possible, you can achieve anything. Today I'm here to share with you a story about how the city, with the second largest population of veterans in the country, tackled the issue of veteran homelessness. In 2012, as part of my second inaugural festivities, I announced that we were going to address homelessness head-on, and we were going to move the needle. Guided by Opening Doors, the federal strategic plan to end homelessness, we set out as a collaborative to end veterans' homelessness by the end of 2015, and of course to take the lessons that we learned from that and extend that to the broader population of homeless here in Houston. In tackling veterans' homelessness, we rallied partners from across the region and started with a modest goal, in fact a national challenge, to house 100 chronically homeless veterans in 100 days. On day 100, we had housed 101, and with that little bit of success, we decided to see if we could do it again. And we housed another 100, and then we housed another 100, and we kept going, and we had housed more than 500 homeless veteran households within 1 year. By the end of year 2, thank you, but here comes the big number. By the end of year 2, we had housed more than 2,200 homeless veteran households, 2,200 households. Thanks to the efforts of our street outreach teams, the majority of our veterans who'd been living on the streets for years, suffering from debilitating physical, mental, and emotional conditions, are now in permanent housing and connected to robust, supportive service teams from the Michael E. DeBakey VA Medical Center. People ask me on a regular basis why we have such a big VA here when we really have a very small active duty military presence here. And that is because we have so many veterans. Texas sends more people into the U.S. military than any other state, and when they come back to Texas, because of the resources, the economy here, they tend to congregate in Houston. And we had to work together better because there's not the base to make the VA the linchpin for those veterans. In 2014, I responded to First Lady Michelle Obama's call to action and signed on to the Mayor's Challenge to end veterans' homelessness. Now, the secret was, since we were already blowing and going on ending veterans' homelessness, I thought, okay, this is one where I'm going to definitely raise my hand. If we were going to really to succeed and meet not just the letter, but the spirit of what the First Lady intended, we had to do more than just end homelessness for the veterans that we were seeing today. We had to put a system in place that would work going into the future, because you cannot end homelessness. You can make sure that as someone falls into homelessness, that we pull them back out, that we reach the helping hand out and make sure that there's a system in place to help rescue them, put them on the right track, and make sure that they have the tools needed to succeed. So for every veteran who may find himself or herself struggling with PTSD, every veteran who suffers with physical and mental health challenges or substance abuse issues, every veteran who has complications in their transition back to civilian life, they all have to have a system that can respond effectively and with dignity for them. That's no easy task when you have something on the order of 300,000 veterans in the broader Houston area. Not all of those veterans need that helping hand. But let me tell you that all of those veterans are willing to extend a helping hand. So this has been a collaborative across the social service agencies, the veterans support groups, and the broader veterans community. I'm proud to announce today, and you know what's coming, that system is in place, and there is not going to be another homeless veteran that stays on the streets of Houston for lack of resources. Let us celebrate that. Thank you. And we have helped return more than 3,600 homeless veterans to permanent homes since January of 2012. So, this is a very complex social challenge, and this had to be a system that is flexible, that will grow and change, and connect to the vast network of other agencies, linking us all together into an integrated web. In fact, if you work with one of our local partners who made this possible, and there's some 30 different local service agencies, I'd like you to stand up today because y'all have been putting a hard work in for a couple of years now. Agencies that deal with the homeless, with veterans, and one of the things that really made it work was as we focused on the singular mission. We've all been working on homelessness for a long time, but as we focused on the singular mission of providing a permanent system to take care of our veterans, all of the various agencies put their own individual preferences, their own biases, their competition among the various groups aside and focused on that one mission. We're going to take care of veterans. You had, for the first time, in my knowledge, the City Housing Authority and the County Housing Authority working hand in hand to make resources available. You had dozens of nonprofit organizations working together, sharing resources, coming together. That was truly remarkable and required a paradigm shift in thinking. So, thank you for the work you did. It is an unfortunate reality that veterans will continue to experience housing instability in this country. And sometimes veterans will experience problems long after their period of service. But now we know how to respond, and we have an immediate housing option for every homeless veteran. With 3,000 veterans returning to the greater Houston area every year, chances are you may still come across someone who is temporarily homeless, temporarily in crisis. It may be a veteran who has just recently become homeless, or a veteran we have been working with for years who's encountered a rough spot. However, unlike the past, we have the resources, we're going to connect, we're going to keep working, we're going to find an answer for that individual veteran because we have the system that can accommodate him or her. At the center of this system is one human being, and that was part of the paradigm shift that we had to experience. We really had to focus on the individual needs of the individual veteran, rather than thinking of the homeless. It's John and Fred and Frank with individual stories and individual dreams for the future that we needed to help. That's what makes our system different. all partners operating under the belief that there is a housing option for each homeless veteran, that it is our duty to ensure those veterans are rapidly returned to permanent housing, that we hold each other accountable, and all resources are on the table to make that happen. System data is monitored regularly to ensure no veteran is stuck or slipping through the cracks, even when their own life struggles are making it difficult to stay connected. I know the data is impressive, and our promise of a truly effective system is tantalizing, but perhaps the best way for you to understand the magnitude of this accomplishment is to hear from some of those who have lived it, and we have some video testimony for you to experience.